Hello, everyone. We'll get started. Thanks for joining this afternoon uh, for this exciting masterclass on startups from local to global. This is third in series of our healthcare masterclass on continuous learning and for informed decision making with Healthcare Continuum and Big Podium in collaboration. We today have a very important topic, and for that we have a very esteemed guest, Dr. Shivakiran. Dr. Shivakiran is himself embodies the entrepreneurial spirit that we'll discuss in this session today. Scientist by training, he is now the CEO of Atal Incubation Centre, always solving problems and innovating. His passion for startups and the whole ecosystem has led him to co-chair the G20 Startup Alliance, making startup an important topic in the G20 itself. Without further ado, I would like to welcome you. Welcome, Dr. Shivakiran. Thanks for taking out time to share your knowledge and perspective to help young startups and entrepreneurs and innovators to navigate this global landscape and make impactful solutions.
Okay. Thank you, Raghavji, for giving the very short and crisp introduction. And thank you for giving this podium to share the nuances and understanding of the startup ecosystem in the country. And when you said for the youngsters, in startup ecosystem, everyone is young by heart. So with that positive note, we will start. Okay. Because we have a startup who is of 63 years old, and he never, he always surprises us with his enthusiasm and thing. So that's where startup ecosystem is very quite unique. I hope you can see. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. So namaste to all of you, and. It is a saying, a very beautiful saying, very classical sayings. This is the worst of the times and the best of the times. And today we are all sitting in your comfortable places wherever you are. But the world is witnessing both the best because we are seeing each other on Zoom. We could get vaccines in less than 2 years, and we have longevity and a lot of things. But the same point of time, there's a climate change, there is a war, there is a lot of things going on. So in that juncture, how are we going to deal these extremes? And that's where I'm coming here to tell you small stories about how some of these youngsters are changing this status quo. I always say that if there is a very bright light and just under that, we always have a darkness. Here there is a beautiful graph that talks about how we have moved from vaccination regime and vaccination speed. If you look at 1980s, it used to take like 10 years, 20 years to develop the vaccines and deliver the vaccines and the effectiveness of the vaccines. Today, in less than 2 years, we could make the vaccine, deliver it to the different countries. You are all witness to the COVID. So that is a bright side of today. And there is another graph which is quite contrasting here. Those countries that received vaccines, especially COVID, I'm talking about COVID, those countries that received vaccines could open up their economy, open up their schools, colleges, industries faster than those countries could not receive vaccine at time. So there was a disparity. There is a vaccine aggregation in a few pockets, and rest of the countries couldn't get. So this is what I was trying to tell you, that worst of the times and best of the times. Let me show you some other interesting data. We all have an assumption that we are releasing more and more carbon dioxide and global warming is going up and up. But there is an interesting data that says actually per capita emission of carbon dioxide is much, much less. You might be wondering how this is all linked to healthcare. We'll come to that. Everything is linked to healthcare. Everything impacts us. So carbon dioxide emissions have come down year on year, per capita emissions. But as we are multiplying ourselves, our aspirations are going up, and industries are going up. There are a lot of feeding stomachs. the carbon total aggregate carbon emission is going up. One side we say it is coming down per capita, but other side the overall carbon dioxide is going up and down. What are the repercussions of it? Do you know that in the past 100 years, we have only raised the carbon dioxide levels by so much that the global temperature is just above 1.1 degrees to its average. If you look at 100 years back, whatever was the temperature till 2000 or 2005, we had just increased only 1.1% degree Celsius. In the last 15 years, we have increased the double of it. And today there is a timer ticking that by 2030, if we fail to contain the rise in the global temperature by no less than 1.5 degrees Celsius, right? I think our Earth will be inhospitable. So we may have to start booking our flights to other planets, those who could afford. So that's the situation we are in now. Okay. And we say that we are getting a lot of food. Okay. The food is available throughout the world. But again, a lot of food is getting wasted. One side it's available, another side it is wasted. And we have witnessed that food security, everybody has something to eat. But is that something good enough for our continuous growth? I mean, all these things, when we look at all these things together, we see one side an opportunity, another side a grave situation. How do you turn around this grave situation problems into opportunities? That's the game here we are talking about. And that's where United Nations Sustainable Development Goals come into the picture. In 2015, they came with the 17 goals that we need to meet to make our Earth hospitable so that we will sustain and thrive, have a peace and prosperity. It's not about surviving, it also thriving with having peace and prosperity. And our goal post is 2030, and we have 17 goals to do that. Okay, each goal is very, very important and all are connected to each other. So let us take a small exercise. Now we all aspire for quality education, right? And what happens when you get quality education, when you get a degree, when you get a post-graduation, MBBS and all those things? There's going to be decent work and economic growth, right? And what does it lead? It will lead sustainable cities and communities. And that will in turn lead to prosperity and well-being. But to access a quality education, what do we need? Good health and well-being. You know, India is the largest country in the world that has deployed midday meals. 14 crore children eat every day in some form. Okay, Karnataka has some model, Maharashtra has some model, different states have different models, but all of them unanimously accepted that midday meals impacted the growth, cognitive abilities of the children. Okay, when children have good food, good breakfast, good lunch, the outcomes of the education is met. And it will also lead to healthy workers. If there is a sick nation, we cannot grow, right? A hospital's business will grow, but what about other businesses, right? Industry cannot grow, innovation cannot happen, infrastructure cannot come out. So good health and well-being will lead to that, and which eventually lead to, again, well-being. Right? When you have good infrastructure, again, we'll have a decent work, right? Suppose if somebody is working in mines without a protective gear, it is not a decent way. But when you have an innovation, which will provide a protective gear to the people who are working in the mining area, then you can expect less silicosis, less respiratory disorders, less orthopedic incidents. For all these things, we need to make sure that we have enough money. So that's where we need to ensure zero poverty. So all of this, each of these goals are linked to one another. If one is the cause, another is the effect. So to ensure no poverty in country, we need to have economic well-being, right? So that's where our startups do. Okay, so these are the startups, a new breed of businesses that are doing wonders in the country. How are they different, right? What do they do? In my understanding, being in the startup ecosystem for 15 years, what I got to understand is startups either they improve the safety of human being, can add convenience to your life, happiness and value, right? For example, Zoom, the innovation which we are all using Zoom. What does it do? It provides convenience that I'm able to sit in Anantpur and talk to you. There is someone from Pune, there is someone from Delhi, there is someone from somewhere else. All of us are sitting on a, in your own homes and comfortably exchange the knowledge. And they add convenience, right? I was just reading Zomato's book today. What Zomato does, it add convenience to you, right? So say we take any innovation, any startup, this is what they do. Alternatively, they reduce the risk, complexity, misery, and time to execute that activity or get a service. Right? If you do a booking in a red bus, it's just less than 3 minutes you get a booking done. If it was 10 years back, what would have happened? You should have gone somewhere, make a phone call, it would have taken hours to do. That's what startups do. Okay. You might be wondering, like how there are regular businesses that they do. How are startups different? Right? For your information, it's a very, very surprising thing that, I'll share this anecdote. I was in Hyderabad for the inception meeting. That was the first meeting of Startup 20, and all the G20 nations were present there. They were all giving a elevator pitch of about their startup ecosystem of their nation, and all of them are saying that they do not have a simple definition for a startup. It was very subjective. If somebody sees a business growing very fast, they call it startup. If there is a deep technology involved, they call it startup. India is the only country where government has put it on record what is a startup. Okay, I see many people coming to me and saying, sir, I want to set up a garment industry. I want to set up a milk parlor. Is that a startup? Okay, they are good. They are enterprises, they are businesses, but they're not startups. Startups supposed to be smart, small, swift in its operations, in its setup. And they should be actually solving some solutions against serious problems, right? And they should be new in its entity. And there should be technology involved in that. That technology will lead to being smart and swift. And a product or a process have to be innovative in its approach. Suppose you might be selling milk, but do you have A2 milk? Do you have a milk which is organically certified? Do you have a milk that is not pasteurized, directly delivered to home? So there are many things which you do, right? And they should have minimum turnover. You cannot have $1 billion company calling it a startup. It was a startup some point of time, but not now. And it should be able to provide employment at scale. Okay. So the speed at which I'll tell you, if you want to set up an automobile industry, two-wheeler industry, it would take 5 to 6 years to put your product in the market way back in the 80s. But today, in less than 2 years, you're able to put, Ola or Ather or any of these bikes on the roads. The speed at which the products are coming out, the cycle of the business is so rapid because of the technology. That's what we call them startups. And you can look at the government of India's gazette. It's called India's gazette, where there is a definition of startup. Okay, and we need to uh, 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 fit into that framework. Okay, and there's another perception about startups. As I told you, there is innovation is a quotient that is differentiator between a regular business and a startup, right? Zomato, similar services were there earlier also. You open the Yellow Pages or Suleka, phone the biryani fellow and ask him to come. That was already there. But what Zomato did was, it did something entirely different, right? There is a lot of data analytics. You can track, you can pay tips, you can do reviews, you can do many things. It can be customized, right? So that is what innovation. Okay, and I would compare this innovation to as your childhood stories. All of you know this story. Okay, everybody knows this story, and who wins also we know, right? But I want to give a different twist to this. Entrepreneur is like slow and steady. Okay, first of all, comparing a tortoise to rabbit itself is a foolish thing. Both are entirely different, but both are needed in the society. Okay, in an economy. Entrepreneur is slow and steady. They're on their own. They set up one shop today, another shop after 3 years, after 10 years. But startup is not like that. At a time, you open 1,000 shops in 1,000 different locations and coordinate from a single point with the use of technology. That's the game here. And startups have two kinds of innovations you can think of. Okay, I have given example, very, very classic example here. Radical innovations. When cars were being introduced to society in US, in late 80s, late 18th century, early 19th century, there were very few cars. But as the number of cars were increasing on the road, people didn't know how to drive, whether right or left, when to take right, when to take left. So they needed certain sort of discipline. So that's how traffic signals for the first time they saw in their life. It might be easy for us to understand this, but just think, 150 years back, what does this traffic lane really mean to those people? That was a radical, okay? And incremental, if you are in traffic, you'll be anticipating when that red light turns into green. So many times we don't even switch off the ignition, right? Engine. So the moment you put a timer there, at least many of them who are in the signal will switch off, right? So that will reduce the emission of carbon dioxide. So that is called increment innovation. So startups, many of my startups, 90% of our startups are incremental, 10% of them are radical. Okay. And there are some things to important concepts that one could encounter in this ecosystem. Many of you are in this ecosystem, but some of you might be new. So let us look at this. Domains and sectors. So I took a parallel from our ancient knowledge, Kshetra and Bija and Kshetra. Okay, so it's like this. You get a knowledge from domain, right? So I'm a biotechnology scientist. I know how to design a diagnostic device, right? And where do I apply? I'll apply in a hospital. I'll apply in a healthcare. Even that diagnostic device might be useful even in an insurance, right? So that is called Kshetra, where you apply this. Many times students get confused. Even investors use these words very liberally. But those of you want to get into the startup ecosystem, it would be nice that you know these things, right? So metallurgy, if you know about lithium ion, you know how to apply that lithium ion knowledge in making lithium ion batteries and storage devices. That's into logistics department. Like that, there's a domain where we acquire knowledge. There is a sector where we apply that. So, and there are possibilities that a singular domain can be applied in multiple sectors. Like for example, let's take polymer sciences. It can be applied in healthcare. It can be applied in skincare, textiles, automobiles, space. Name 100 such sectors, right? Now, all these things are happening in the country. Universities are churning out startups. Research organizations are, producing a lot of innovations. All these things have led to something phenomenal in the last 10 years. If you look at 2014 data, there were like 800 or 850, 900 startups. As on date, there is 1.2 lakh startups. These 1.12 lakh startups as in October, but today it is gone beyond 1.2 lakh startups. What does it mean? What does that number really mean? We have moved from nowhere to, India has moved from nowhere to third largest startup ecosystem. And each of the startups are directly providing employment to 11 people. Okay. So that is one of the biggest employers today. And they are not very, very small jobs. Artificial intelligence, coding, programming, vaccine development, all such high-end, high-skilled jobs are also being provided. At the same point of time, jobs that can be scaled quickly. Ola aggregation platform has provided jobs, around 5 lakh jobs from a single city. Just from a single city, Ola has provided 5 lakh jobs. Imagine how much, how fast startups can do. Even delivery platforms, all of them gig workers, we call them. It has created a new job profile itself. And startups, it has come to such a level that we are forcing governments to reconsider their policies. During presidency, India was the president for the G20 in 2023. What happened then? They put forward an idea that startups need a permanent global body. You all know that WHO is there for healthcare, ILO is there for labor. What is there for startups? Where do we voice out? That's where Startup 20, that itself was an innovative approach, that considering startup as a engines of a growth, and Startup 20 got the world's highest platform in G20. Okay? And our startup ecosystem is growing very, very rapidly. Of course, there is a small ditch in the funding that will not be a problem. It'll keep on increasing, because this graph shows, whatever graph I'm showing here, number of incubators are being added year on year. There are private incubators, there are government incubators who are creating more and more incubators, incubators in a university, in a research organization, even in a hospital. There is an incubator to solve some of their own problem statements. Even industries, like for example, Marika Foundation, Tata, Maruti Automation, uh, then Infosys Foundation, such organizations have moved from charity based to entrepreneurial based. They started promoting a lot of entrepreneurs so that they can in turn create solutions and provide employment. So that's where incubators are increasing year on year. Today, on record, we have got like 1,000 incubators in the country, which are recognized and somewhere listed out. But there are many incubators that are created every day. And in medical fraternity, you know what is an incubator, right? Incubator is a place where an immature baby is kept till the time that doctor feels it is confident to face the world. The same incubator, what we have is a place where early ideas, phenomenal ideas, which can change the world, need protection. Okay, they should not get lost in the narrative. So we provide them money, mentor, market, space, place, and all such things, so that the idea can see the light of the day. Okay, and it's not that startups do work only in India. This is something very important for us, because the title of the discussion was universal problems. If there is a poverty, if there is a climate change, if there is a logistics issue, if there's a banking issue, it is an issue throughout the world. Everybody is facing that, right? And we see a lot of our startups doing it phenomenally outside. The one of the biggest startup, I would say, is UPI. UPI is, though it's not a startup in a true sense, but it was a new initiative by the government. It is being accepted across the world. Now, same way, there are startups from small towns who are going globally. And how are they going globally? And government of India has done something very, very impressive, that they have created bridges between the countries. And they have understood in a bilateral relationship that each country needs something. They can complement each other and can bring startups and hack these problems. So some of the bridges I have presented here, like I'll take up one, for example, Swissnex. Swissnex is an incubator under Consulate of Switzerland, which is in Bangalore. What they do, they invite applications from startups and students every year, and their focus area is in healthcare, because Switzerland, do you know that they're masters in manufacturing medical devices, healthcare devices, diagnostic devices, such things. Say they would like to promote innovations in that line. They want Indian startups to use their expertise, and it will open up market even in Europe. Same way, they can come back to India and scale it up. So last year, Swissnex had come up with a problem statement of antimicrobial resistance. This is a global problem that abuse of antibiotics has led to microbes becoming superbugs, and now it is one of the biggest problem statement throughout the world. So they wanted solutions. This way, startups from India can go to Switzerland. The Swiss startups can come back to India, and that way it happens. Similarly, Toronto Business Development Center. This is a private organization. Good people, altruistic people, philanthropic people have come together and formed this non-profit organization. They take Indian businesses to Canada and Canada's business to India, because Canada is one of the G7 nations, which means that their economy is really big, their purchase power is big, but they cannot grow too much. What we can do is we can grow a lot of food, medicinal food, healthcare, wellness, so many things. Right? Currently, one of my startup is taking the turmeric from tribal village called Manyam. Manyam is a tribal village in Andhra Pradesh, and they produce one of the best turmeric, second best after uh, northeastern Meghalaya turmeric. This is second best. And she makes turmeric powder, turmeric soaps, turmeric capsules, and sell it and put them in the markets in Canada. Okay. And what this TBDC does is it runs programs throughout the year, a cohort of 20 startups, 30 startups, and they take them to Canada and help them set up their shops. including compliances, seed grant, then licenses, work permits, all those things they provide so that our startups can go and thrive. This way, whether east, west, doesn't matter. We have got wonderful bridges. Startups, I think it's like honeymoon period for you. You can really go across the world and explore your markets, new markets, provide solutions to them, right? No, that's the government, bridges, but there are private bridges as well. And I'm sure many of you know some of these brands here, some of the businesses here. And what they do cross-border B2B marketplace. Okay, we all know that after liberalization and such things, globalization, uh, manufacturing in a single country is not happening. It's fragmented. Some parts happening there, some parts happening here, right? It is good in a way so that we all dependent on each other, so we don't trouble each other. And the second is um, that way we can share the labor, we can share the work, and that's how world becomes prosperous when you cooperate with each other. Next one. So I was talking to you about a lot about Startup 20. Let me dedicate one slide for that because there's something very interesting that has happened in the country. In fact, we were all apprehensive whether a joint statement would come or not. You know that whenever a G20 meeting happens, all the countries should come with a joint statement. People are worried if joint statement would come or not, and we pulled
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
Yeah, we pulled
I'm
it through. We
sorry, I'll
got that.
interrupt you.
Yes, please.
Yes, I understand, all MEAs and all this G20 Sherpas, they work overtime.
Correct. Yes. So that's a beauty. This time it happened, and getting Startup 20 on board and making it a permanent body in G20 was something phenomenal. So why this is important and what does this Startup 20 do? There are five principles, five tasks that is given to the Startup 20. One is we need to create a strong foundation of terminology. Now, if you go to US, when you say startup, they mean something else. If you go to Indonesia, they may mean something else. But in India, it's something else. Now, if I say crow, everybody understands what is a crow. Okay, everybody understands what's an elephant. So that's called vocabulary. We need to have some common framework across the world so that we understand each other, right? After creating that kind of framework, you would like to have global alliances. This is something important, and we have come up with a beautiful framework, which I will share in a while, because I was part of that structuring. Next is finance. How do you plow 1 trillion USD to the startups? You get a lot of money for big organizations, big companies, but what about startups? Can we pull $1 trillion investment in those startups that are solving major problems? Okay, like as I said, there are 17 sustainable development goals. If any of these startups are really doing it, you don't get much of investment because these are social innovations. Many times you may not expect the kind of returns you want. So that time you need to have patience. You need to have more money, pumped into such startups. So that's where there has been a commitment of 1 trillion USD in startups which are solving global problems. Next, can we make startups more inclusive? Can we get tribals? Can we get neglected communities? Can we get physically challenged? Can we get different orientation kind of people? Everybody should be part of this journey. And we have been doing, for your information, we have done a cohort for kids who have a visual disability, and we have done a design thinking program for them. And we have one startup who is blind, and he's designing a business model that supplies biogas to tier 3 towns. So it is not difficult. What we need is a vision, not the site to run a startup. Okay. Finally, sustainability. As I said, no, sustainable development goals are very important. You have money, but you do not have good air to breathe. I'm sure many of you have been victims of that. You have money, but you don't have good air to breathe, right? So can we provide solutions? Can we provide funding to these startups who are into sustainability? Now, after discussing all these things, we came with a beautiful framework which was accepted by all the G20 nations. The idea was we were going to have a global networking institution virtual institution which will not have a physical office like somewhere in a Hague or Geneva, nothing like that. It should be cloud-based location, and each geography can have its own ecosystem. Like you have Southern America, they have their own culture, their own food habits, their own geography, their own economy. So you cannot impose a singular rule to all of them. So there has been a lot of freedom for them to operate. So if there is an ecosystem in Brazil and that area, there is an ecosystem in Middle East, there is an ecosystem in Singapore and around that Southeast Asian regions, can we all connect them through networking, facility, networking framework? Each of them have their own freedom to operate the way they want, and yet they will all interact with other regions and share the knowledge, best practices, and startups and funding. Finally, this we are talking about at a higher level, at a global level. What about regional level? This is something very unique I would like to share here. We proposed, okay, fine. Let the startups have global vision and all those things. But many of these startups come from small towns. They do not get exposure for such things. So let us have a regional nodes. Okay, in every 200 kilometers geographical area in India, we can have one regional node that is in touch with the national body, and this regional node will support startups. It will not duplicate the work of incubators, but it will support them in providing the best practices, giving them the global opportunities, bringing the global money to small towns. This way, it is one continuous process. This is something like human nervous system. Okay, though we have a nervous system, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic, sympathetic working parallel to each other. Only then we have a better, right? Finally, under G20, we also had something very interesting, sustainable development goals. Now, if you set up a business, let's say you started a textile business, it is providing employment. So, which is the decent work. So, by invariably, you are actually somehow fitting into this framework. But did you establish a unit only because you wanted to make money, or is it because you wanted to provide them job? What was your primary intent? So that is called intentionality. Can startups have that intentionality in their framework itself? Let them make money, no problem, but let the intention be solving bigger problems. And how do we measure that? So right now there is a team that is building framework for this. It will be out soon sometime. This will help you. So after doing this G20 startup 20 frameworks, we also realized that we need to have some case studies which are two-way bound. One, these are some of the startups which are established in elsewhere and they're finding market in India through the incubators. And there are startups from India who have gone outside and solved international problems. Like for example, here Onivation is an agency in India, and what it does is every year it brings startups from Israel to India. They give market intelligence about India to the Israeli innovation ecosystem and find and scout for innovations and provide them market space in India. They are into cyber security. They're very strong in cyber security, defense technology, agriculture, biotechnology. They all come in India. See, we all enjoy Israeli products outcomes. Simple one is hydroponics. Hydroponics is a courtesy to them that because of their water issues, they did hydroponics and we are exploiting it like anything. Okay, next one, Deep Infinity is from a UK-based startup. They are into a AI-based diagnostic tool. And we from Atal Incubation Centre, this person is from Anantpur, okay, Andhra Pradesh, a small town, and he is moving from UK to Anantpur because now the market is mature. There is an ecosystem that supports them. Now there is a confidence even in diaspora that they want to come back to India. Same way from UK, T-Hub has facilitated that. And reverse, as a, there were a lot of bridges which I was talking to you, right? So one of the bridges, Indo-Sweden challenge. So these are the two startups, OncoStem, which works on oncology and such things. They went to Sweden, worked with the universities there, and got their ideas validation and opened the businesses. Similarly, Ecosol is an aggregation platform for eco-friendly materials like carbs, biodegradable packaging material, all such things. Now they found global market, USA, UK, Canada, Germany, so many places they found market. Okay, there's an interesting startup from Hassan. Hassan is a small town in Karnataka where they grow a lot of areca nuts, okay, palm trees. So, nowadays these palm plates have become very common, very famous. And he had gone to Sweden for his higher studies, and he saw the market. He came back to India, promoted a lot of farmers to make very high quality plates and cutlery and all, and they export it to Sweden. Why Sweden buys not they buy this cutlery from made from areca leaves for dual purposes. One for eating, and after they eat, they wash it, they dry it, and they use it for firing their heaters at the home. So it has got dual purpose. We never thought that it will have such purpose. But because Sweden is a Scandinavian country, most of the time they have a very cold weather. They need heaters to be on all the time. So we saw a newer market there. Similarly, Apran is the last one, the green one. This is a startup from Anantpuram, which has seen a market in Brazil, and they started exporting products from Anantpuram to Brazil, and they make all their spare parts in India, assembled in India, and send it to Brazil. So this is what Make in India and Atmanirbharta really mean. At small towns, you should be able to do it, not just in big towns, small towns, right? Okay. Now, there is one elephant in the room, which we have not yet realized, and that elephant is coming soon for all of us. Are we ready? Okay. I'm very happy to share that Government of India, at least in this case, has been in alignment with startups. Earlier, when the new innovation comes, new technologies will come, and there are no guidelines, there are no frameworks, there are no SOPs from the government how to deal such things. Simple example was the drones. When the drones were becoming popular among startup ecosystem in 2018, if I'm right, 2018, there was a lot of issue about drones, that there is no directive from Government of India, there is no licensing mechanism. So many of the drone-based startups had to shut their shops. Now, Government of India took cognizance of this situation, gives a clear-cut framework about how to handle drones, how to get the license, and how to categorize all these things. So this way, the Government of India is also little startup mindset. I should say they are also entrepreneurial mindset that they are also bringing policies and frameworks which will help AI to become very useful tool. Because when I say tools, tool is a non-living organism or a non-living entity. It is as effective, as good as its owner, right? If I have an axe, I can cut a tree and I can become a monster, right? But if I have an axe, I can use it for other purposes. So it all depends on me or the user how to use an axe. So same is the case with AI. So that's where Government of India came with a national quantum mission, India AI mission, semiconductor mission. That will give you the direction about how do you use AI, right? AI is a tremendous business opportunity. By 2030, you will be witnessing around $15 billion of businesses in India. But if you compare to the US, it's much less. But uh, it is significantly good enough for India that by 2030, the AI market size will be around $15 billion. So will be the employment also. So brothers, if AI is coming for you, whether you are ready or not, it will be there. If you are ready, you can really, catch the bus. Otherwise, you will miss the bus, or you will be under the bus. Either way. So its choice is yours. And there's something, after talking all these things, you might be wondering how startups should understand this ecosystem well, right? So startups should have something called vision. You should be able to see something which you are not able to see now. You should be able to visualize, envisage what might happen after 10 years, right? Or what could happen to my business when I go to outside market. That is where this tool will help you. We need to understand and analyze the situation of a given geography. Suppose, let us, we want to set up a shop in South Africa. What is its political alignment? what is its economic conditions, what are the social preferences of the people, and all such things. When you understand, only then you'll be able to succeed in becoming a global startup. Otherwise, you will be confined only within India. Okay. Let us look at an example. If you are taking any innovation to Russia, which is innovation which is about about heating or cooling devices. Now Russia, half of the Russia is itself is a frozen, right? If you try to sell a refrigerator or something like that, it never works in Russia, right? So you need to understand that, and what are its legal implications, and what are its environmental implications, right? Just I have given some examples about how things might turn out, okay, strategically. Let me take my favorite one here, EV versus CNG. Now, there's a lot of, gungo about EVs, and government has been pushing a lot for subsidizing EVs. But what we are missing is there is an equivalent opportunity in CNG. Only few organizations have recognized that strategy, because all that 90% of our CNG comes from Middle East. Only 10 to 15% is what we are able to dig out. Now we are finding here and there some places in Krishna Godavari basin where they could get some CNG, but it takes some time for that. But till now we have been depending on the Middle East. But as far as I know, CNG is nothing but methane, and a simple biogas unit can produce methane. But it's a different context. When you automate it, when you optimize it, you are able to produce biogas, which is of the same quality like CNG. Okay, I'm really impressed by Maruti, because when all the four-wheeler companies were betting on EVs, it was a Maruti that came with a fleet of CNG cars. I was thinking, are they fools or are they genius people? Are they seeing the future? Right today, as I told you, one of my startup is setting up CNG unit using banana waste, right? It's taking agriculture waste and converting into biogas and getting CNG. And CNG is a quality which is approved for vehicles, which means that I can make my own CNG in my backyard. Why should I get from Middle East? So it's a strategic, and it's Atmanirbhar. Are we looking at that? Look at EV. 90% of our lithium comes from foreign country. Just say, God forbid, but if some war happens, some supply chain is getting disrupted, we have to pay price for that, right? But CNG, I can do it in
Yeah,
the back.
I'll just intercept. You know what happened, say, during this initial days of Russia and Ukraine war? No, it crippled the whole European economy.
Exactly.
Yeah, please.
So that's exactly startups need to understand strategy, whether your innovation will make your country strong, whether it is in alignment with the slogan of the leader. Only that you will get funding, only that you will get necessary attention, right? So you can take any of this. I just put 9, okay, but you can take up any ones. I'll also tell you something very interesting. Vegan meat. Okay, there's a lot of companies, even KFC, McDonald's have been behind this vegan meat. They want to reduce their carbon footprint on the meat. All of you know that meat that comes from animal source has a lot of carbon footprint, right? So 1 kg of protein, meat protein, is not equivalent to 1 kg of soybean protein. Both of them have different footprints, right? So they want to reduce that. And another side, there is a people who have got religious preference or economic preferences. For many such people, vegan meat could be an alternative. As of now, it's still costly, but as the technology goes up, definitely it could be an alternative. But what are the repercussions? I cannot answer that, but one has to be open about that and see where we are leading, right? Finally, then what is the way ahead for all of us? Now, I told you something about two extremes. I also told how startups can actually bridge these extremes, convert problems into opportunities, and which are the what AI could do for us. What Startup 20 has given a trampoline to the startups that they can actually jump and leapfrog to other geographies. But there's a lot of gaps in Indian ecosystem. According to me, if we bridge one of them, each of them one by one, I think we would have reached our third largest economy much faster than what we have put the target, right? First is we need to bridge academia and industry. They are somehow they never come on a same platform through incubators. So we need to do through an incubator. So I work in an academic institution, showcase them the technological advancements in the industry, and I take the industry to academia, give them opportunities to work together. And we need to bring more private investors at very early stage. A lot of startups in small towns have a problem have not having investment at early stage. Typically, governments are putting that money in the form of grants, fellowships, and such things. But it should be the business of private people, industries, and HNIs that come forward and put money. Next, there should be an insistence on corporate governance at early stage of startup journey. They always I tell my team that direction is more important than speed. You might be speeding, but if you're in the wrong direction, you will reach wrong direction much faster. Okay, you will go to the wrong destination. So that's not our agenda. Our agenda is to go to the right destination. So for that, corporate governance is required, right? And we need to tap tier 2, tier 3 ecosystems. That's very important because 50% of the human resources are in the small towns and they have amazing ideas, but they just don't get the enough opportunity to showcase themselves. That's all. And we need to have intense collaborations and we need to have local solutions for global problems. We have one startup from a place called Bapatla. Bapatla is a coastal region of Andhra Pradesh. Coastal region, what is happening because of loss of mangrove forest and desertification, the sea water is seeping into the drinking water. Now, when you put a bore near like 2 kilometers away from the sea coast, 4 kilometers away from the sea coast, you get a salt water, not hard water, salt water. So you would have heard these ghost villages. Many ghost villages are coming up in across the coastal regions of India and many countries because there is no forest that's or there is no way that you could stop them. The sea water seeping in. Now, this startup, what he has come with an idea, he identified that my parents are sitting next to the sea full of water, but we're not able to drink. Can I come with a solution where I can use some evaporation methods, some kind of solar methods, and convert the seawater into drinking water? Okay. See, this is how startups are thinking. They are empathizing with their community. They're not running away from the country. They're actually sitting there, oh, let me solve the problem. And if I solve problem to Bapatla, I can solve this problem for 125 countries which have sea coast. 19,000 island countries like Saint Kitts Island, Maldives, for example, or Lakshadweep or Mauritius, many of Seychelles, many of them depend on the import of the drinking water. So we can solve all such problems. So that's called local solutions for global problems. And I want to do this one step at a time. And this is my vision. And through this masterclass, I want to share this vision with all of you that my vision is to create, India should be able to create 100 enterprises per day. There were days when we were mocked at our population. India is producing 3 kids every second. Now the narrative should be India is creating 100 startups per day, and 25 jobs should be created directly from each entrepreneur, each enterprise, and they should contribute at least 5% of our GDP. Today, we are startups collectively are contributing less than 1%, and we should go to 5% of GDP contribution only through startups. And 50% of such enterprises should be from small towns, villages. And it is possible. We have shown in our Anantpur district that it is possible. And that is how we can make Bharat Vikasit by 2047. Okay, that's my pitch for today to all of you, that what startups are capable of doing and how you are all welcome to be part of this journey. And I'm really thankful to this wonderful people from Big Podium, Raghav Goel and Healthcare Continuum, Manish Rastogi and all his team for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and my stories, how startups can change the world, change this country, and we can anticipate a brighter future through startups. So thank you, and we are just a click away. And Jai Hind.
No, Thank you very much, Dr. Shivakaran. This is very enlightening, and your perspectives and vision is truly resonating. I would take few questions from the chat. They were on the last slide itself. There were questions around steps to take startup from local to global, like how do people identify the global problems given some of the SDG challenges are
Okay.
global challenges already. Ashish ji had that question. Ashish ji, do you want to unmute and ask?
Yes, Ashish, you can actually ask if you want directly, or should I answer? Okay, as I understand that you want to know how startups can understand global problems, right? So there are ways. One, if the startups are associated with incubators, incubators is a knowledge house. We all get this information from Government of India and beyond, other countries, that they reach out to us and ask solutions. Like for example, recently we had a delegation from Bhutan who came to us and told, see, we have a problem that many of our youngsters after their graduation are going to the Australia and settling down. There is a brain drain. They're getting education, but they're going elsewhere. And we cannot blame youngsters. They need they need to fulfill their aspirations. So Bhutan is becoming technologically weak. They're not able to innovate because youngsters are not there. Now, how do you make them stay back? Was the problem statement. Because quality education followed by a decent work and economy. That's not happening in Bhutan. So they reached out to us, and we came with a program where we can empower the youth of Bhutan and many business models that can be done in Bhutan. Because Bhutan is a landlocked country, it has no railways, it has no shipways, it's only airlifting possible. So how do you really export goods and services from Bhutan? Then we identified some products. Say, for example, IT. IT doesn't need any infrastructure. A good internet is all we need. So can we build IT products from Bhutan so that they can stay back, right? And this is one example I'm giving. And Bhutan is really known for natural resources. One is wind energy. High altitudes wind energy is like anything, 365 days. Capture the wind and sell it to India. Happy to buy. So these are two examples that Bhutan could identify. We could identify Bhutan's problems through an incubator. We can do. Our Startup India website is there. There are global challenges that they keep putting up in Startup India website, right? When you keep following them, you will get a lot of information. But otherwise, also thumb rule is like this: water, food, roti, kapda, makan, climate change. This is a global problem. If a Bapatla student can find a problem of leakage, leaching of the seawater into their drinking water, same you can expect anywhere in Chile or in Argentina. It's just we need to validate that idea. We can speak to the experts. So the world is too small to get connected, right? So these are the different ways we can actually understand global problems.
I have two questions, Dr. Shivakaran.
Yes,
And
please.
probably you can take your time and maybe we can jointly do the study on. uh, we have an old conventional economy,
Right,
brick and mortar, and then we have startups, the new
right,
age economy, right?
right.
And I do a parallel actually in 2015. I wrote I'm in a couple of WhatsApp group. So I
Right.
told my counterparts there that IT is going to be a new bosses.
Uh-huh.
So now you take health tech and all. So it's everywhere. It's a health AI, health tech, etc., right? And they're going to have a very deep impact on conventional medtech companies and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now the point here is like when you could see, especially or say economy per se, when the new age economy and the old age economy would have a parity in the total global GDP, like 50-50. So when do you foresee that scenario?
I do. Let me give you another parallel to this. Two parallels I'll give. There is one of my friend always says, all startups are MSMEs eventually, but not all MSMEs are startups. Okay. That's a
Phenomenal.
beautifully has put, very beautifully has put. Because startups is what? You make a product or you have a services. So they're MSMEs in some way, right? But not all MSMEs can be startups, because I already told you the speed at which startups grow, MSMEs cannot grow. And that is a technology quotient, innovation quotient. That's the only thing. When you bring that, any enterprise becomes startup. Second is intentionality of the setting up the business. It's a very subjective word when you say intentionality. How do you measure the intention? It's difficult, but that's the intent of the everything, right? Startups. There are many startups who otherwise would have gone to good jobs. Why did they come back and struggled and raising the funds and mortgaging their houses and running businesses? Because they see that there is a bigger problem to solve than themselves, right? They see the world as one family. They want to solve that. Only that kind of empathetic people can become startup founders. Not everyone. Let me tell you that once. Okay.
My second question is like, uh, we have seen a lot of traction at WTO, right?
Right.
Yeah. So most of the times, actually, discussions are about, say, national priorities, national
Right.
trade interest and all. Okay. But of late, have come to know about now your big tech, big four tech companies and all. They've been discussed at WTO platform, right? So
Okay.
somehow, say tech companies are getting major part of the discussion at WTO, right?
Okay.
So when could
Overall.
we see, like, most of the times, again, a hypothetical question, that most of the times, instead of MSME, no, they'll be discussing the startups and the impact.
Hmm. Uh, See, even when it comes to edtech, such kind of companies, I have some specific observations that edtech companies saw the boom, again during COVID. Okay, but after the COVID, all the education systems again went back to their own physical spaces, because education is we have understood very little about education. It's not about just getting the information and seeking the information, such things. You need to have physical interaction at the school, socialization. There is something called C to the power of 4. Classroom, campus, community, and corridors. These are the 4 places where students actually learn the education. Only 20%, 25% happens within the classroom. Remaining 25% happens in the corridors, because they chit chat in the corridor, they observe something happening, they read something on the notice board. All this is a part of education, which we cannot do that everything online. And we also see that children getting into addicted to the mobiles. Now, one side we are giving education to them, other side you are actually playing with their health, right? There are repercussions. Okay, it is always going to be there. It's like when you build a plastic thing, we all are happy that trees will not be cut now onwards because we have got a lot of plastic. But today plastic has become menace. By plastic itself is never a menace. It is a management of the plastic. So
Yeah.
same way, healthcare technologies, healthcare innovations, it's about how do we handle, how do we envision it?
Yeah. No,
Uh,
very, very well said, sir. There are a couple of questions in the chat. I'm
yes,
getting some in the
please,
private as
please
well.
take it.
I think Pratibha had a question around how they can get associated with the Atal Incubation Center. Is there a particular website platform to ask
Yes.
or support funding or incubation centers in Bangalore, particularly?
Okay.
You can shed some light there.
And let me also, I'll take this opportunity to welcome my friend and our good, he's also a very senior person in Atal Incubation Center, Dr. Periyaswamy. He's there here. I don't know whether he's active here, but he's my counterpart in Tirupur, which is a textile hub of India. So he heads Atal Incubation Center, which is into fashion technology. Anyway, with that note, I'll come back to Pratibha's question. If Pratibha is somewhere in Bangalore, there are a lot of Atal Incubation Centers within Bangalore. It's not about Atal Incubation Centers or anything. What is that your dream? What is that your problem statement? Right? That you should see. Because there are incubators that are specialized in specific things like healthcare, cybersecurity, textiles. If you go to a wrong incubation center, they may not be able to help you. So you need to identify which business model you are trying to build, or what kind of opportunity you're looking at. Are you into coffee technology? Are you into healthcare domain? What is that? So they based on that, you can actually reach out to the incubators. Or anyway, after this talk, you know my email ID or LinkedIn. So you can also reach out to me. We can also see whether you are fit into my incubator, or if there is another incubator where you can go and take support. We are all welcome. See, that's the beauty of my incubation center in Atal. Okay, we support each other. Okay, if there is a candidate from my side who is not fitting to my incubator, we always find someone else. We can put them there. So
Yeah.
yes,
I think another question is very fundamental question as a student.
yeah.
I think Shubhamji asked that question that what are the steps I can take to build the company website for it to be a global company and with limited resources for that.
See, as a student, website is not a product. Website is just a kind of a address for you in a digital world. That's just a doorstep for you. That's all. That itself is not a product. Website is only to showcase that what you are trying to do for the world. Okay. And through website, they reach out to you. That's all. So website is not necessarily that important for that matter. In fact, we have one startup. He has put up a stall in Mahakumbh also. He's a recipient of Action Awards from Action for India, HDFC seat from HDFC Parivartan Grant, and recently he has been shortlisted by under Amrut scheme, government scheme, where they shortlist startups to implement government projects. Okay, I'll give you a little idea about this, how Amrut scheme works. Amrut is a Atal mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation. Atal mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation. What they do is there is a framework where collectorate is the head, and there will be incubators associated with that, and they put up challenges. One of the challenges from Andhra Pradesh is providing sufficient water in public offices. What are the public offices? It could be court, it could be hospital, it could be schools. Many places you don't get water, or even water comes, they don't store. So when people go there, especially school children do not get a timely water. So my startup's product is, it is got some kind of sensor which will identify when water is there, how much water is in, automatically switches on, switches off. If there's a water storage tank underground, there is a water storage tank on the top of the building. It will understand the amount of water available, not available, and intelligently switch on and switch off. Simple product. This guy doesn't even have a proper website, but he has received so many grants. Now he's part of a Amrut scheme. So he got 20 lakh rupee grant to install his products in 200 schools.
Yeah.
See,
And another example is healthcare continuum, sir. Like it's a
Mm.
vibrant community of 4 years without a
yes,
website, but still
correct,
making great impact. So it starts with the problem and making the right solution there.
correct.
So no, glad you shared that example. So I hope Shubham, you got your answer.
Yes, even platforms like this, when you're actively part of such platforms, it will lead you to the right place, because people who are here are enthusiastic about solving the problems. That's why they're here. So when you reach out with whether you have idea or not, whether you have enthusiasm, that's what you need. When you have passion to solve some problem, any of you, any of us here on this podium will help you.
Totally.
Uh,
No,
Let me
Ashish,
ask you,
you are trying to ask some questions. You came on camera a couple of times.
Hi,
Pratik,
sir. Can
Hi.
I put my word?
Please.
please.
Yeah. Sorry, I was outside. That's why my camera was off. So I had a question. I'm building a one-stop rental solution. So I have done a like prototype, and also it is already launched in Android App Store, and I also created a website just to see that what all we are doing. Just like features wise, like I'm bringing a solution in the sense that like if some items are idle at home, which you can rent, and for example ladder, drilling machines, all this can be rented and earn money out of it. So and also we are creating an aggregator platform, like the way Zomato and Swiggy is there for restaurants. But also we are building a platform wherein all rental vendors like drilling, home appliances, health appliances, costumes, jewelry will be in one platform. So
Okay.
currently I'm looking for either like investment or incubation center in Bangalore. I'm based in Bangalore.
Okay, Bangalore, though, you leave it now. No, of course, because of water problem. Actually, you should rent water. No, that's the business. Rent the water or water tanks. So, that's the business of the day. Anyway, that's on a lighter side. But yeah, it's we can definitely do that. And there are a lot of incubation centers in Bangalore, which I know personally of. You can get connected to which area? By the way, Bangalore itself is like a state. Which area?
I'm in Banshankari, south of Bangalore. Banshankari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can connect you to a couple of incubators. You can
Okay.
explore there. Definitely. Yes.
Okay.
Because this kind of market works only in cities. If you come to Anantpur, this will never work. So
Okay.
yeah.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Regarding the Startup India, there is an option to raise a Startup India fund.
Right.
So could you just add on that? Like I was hearing that only up to only 3% of startups will get the seed fund.
Nothing like that. It's like this government of India has put 945 crores as its fund of funds. And that is 945 crores is being distributed to almost 180 incubators. The aim is 300, but they're not reached. 180 incubators will be the fund dispersing agent. Our is one of them. So we say, let's say we receive 2 crore rupee money from the government of India and the Ministry of Commerce, Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. The scheme guidelines are like this. The startup who is less than 2 years of the vintage, which means you should have established a company. It should not have crossed 2 years of its registration or existence. Only then you are eligible. First. Second, you should be startup. You cannot be. I have seen many applications coming from somewhere in north and all many places that they have a rice mill. They applied for a seed fund scheme. So as I told you in my presentation, there is a definition for startup. And in India, we have got a number, something like Aadhaar number for startups. There's a number called DIPP number. When you have that number, only then you are recognized as startup. Okay, that number is a self-attested number. You can go and apply and you get it. Okay, you have to. They have certain questions. How are you different? What is your USP? What problems you are solving? Like that. You can understand and you can answer. That you will get a DIPP number. Then you apply to the incubator, which is having that fund, right? So the fund is split into 2 parts. One is grant. Second one is a debt-linked investment. Okay. So grant is given to those startups who are having idea, but they do not have product. So that grant one is a bridge to convert their idea into an innovative product. Okay. Second is that's up to 20 lakhs they give. Again, it's a discretion of the committee of the incubator, right? We have given something like 40 lakhs to different startups at idea stage, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, like that. Then there is a second stage where startups already have the product or at least some basic prototype. They want to test it in the market or they want to scale it. For that, you get up to 50 lakh rupee debt investment. Interest rate is almost equivalent to RBI repo rate. Nobody, even your relatives, won't give that less. Okay, 6%, 7% you give. Okay, that one or a debenture. So first we give it as a loan. You raise an investment, then that loan gets converted into equity. That's called debenture, convertible debentures. So these are the 2 ways that 196 incubators do. Like we have 2 incubators sitting in this session itself, myself and Dr. Periyaswamy.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dr. Shivakaran. I know I got disconnected for a few minutes. If any of participants interested in textiles and apparels, I can add somewhere.
I really know you should go and visit that incubator. My God, that's the best incubator. I don't know which can deal with textiles, medical textiles, military textiles, organic textiles, textile associated products like dyes, designs, amazing infrastructure. I think you don't have to set up a factory; just have to go there with an idea, come with a product out. So
Dr.
beautiful.
Shivakiran, since you have mentioned the medical textile, let me see if you could find out some references. And I would request Dr. Periyaswamy to share some details so that we can circulate. We have a very strong, say, healthcare community pan India. So
Yes.
I need some details, and I think we can get
I can connect.
respective numbers from Dr. Shivakiran,
Yes,
and
yes.
we can very well, because I think medical textile is say a new category. A lot many in healthcare are interested in.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. We
Yeah,
should
some
use
of our
it. I need to test.
incubators, yeah,
Yeah,
are developing the medical textiles.
yeah,
Here we have signed an MOU with the Center of Excellence for Medical Textiles, and if you wanted to develop, particularly in medical textiles, and we just get you connected with the Center of Excellence of Medical Textiles, where Government of India has invested more than 35 crores in that. And also here this when you go for medical textiles, and again you can supply to even defense and other peoples. And in fact, today we have been discussing with the UNIDO, or the common this adult diaper, children
Yes.
diaper, where this biodegradable product
Mhm.
that will really add value. In fact, we have developed a lot of plant-based fiber
Yeah.
like bamboo, hemp, sisal fiber, and
Banana,
other.
sisal.
With this product, we can develop this product, biodegradable product, and also for exports, particularly Europe. Now they have introduced the climate tag, where when you
yes,
export a product,
CBM, yeah,
yes,
CBM.
yeah, you have to demonstrate, what is that water conservation, energy, and other type of things. The EAG plays very vital part. There is a good opportunity now, because again created as yeah, this also have been signed, and all buyers are looking for this type of biodegradable product, sustainable product,
Yes.
which
So Europe
really
is
incubator will
especially
support.
Europe
Yes,
will get tougher in months to come,
yeah,
because they
Yes.
all in the final stage of implementing this CBM,
Yes.
carbon
See,
border.
Abhishek, this is another problem statement for you. Global problem. Diapers.
Yes, yes,
Every
yes.
kid
yeah,
across the
yeah.
world needs. Every
True.
kid across the world needs diapers. But
Yeah,
but Mother Nature doesn't want the diapers.
Yeah.
So we need to solve that. Yeah.
exactly. I know we are 15 minutes over time, but just if people have any questions, they can feel free to unmute and ask. I see from AIC.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Mine
have a
is
question.
okay. Who is that?
So I'm Shahid, sir. I'm Shahid. About IAS SKU.
Mhm.
Sir, I have a question to Peria Swami, sir.
Yeah.
So you said that you are developing many products and all, and you also have a Nifty, that is Fashion Technology School. So is there any possibility that we can have startups can have a tie-up and provide those courses online to other people who are from small towns?
Yes, because this incubation center, the AAC NIFTY is a sector-specific incubation center for textiles and apparels across India. Those who are interested, they can, join this incubation center. Yes.
No, sir. My question is, so as a startup, can I
Hmm.
collaborate with Nifty and provide those courses on my platform to the people of other regions? Is
So
my
I'll tell
question.
you. Okay, I'll let me put a context here. See, Shaheen actually runs a startup where she provides alternative vocational training programs, skilling programs online,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can learn these programs and they can become solopreneurs, small towns, like stitching or beauty or wellness, many such things, right? Or soap making, many of such things.
Okay.
So she wants to know if Nifty can provide courses or any training modules which she can adopt and give that to the girls from the small towns, which they can learn and they become a solopreneurs in tailoring or in textiles.
Yeah. No, but as such, this online program not been started because now here the Nifty institutions are taking care of now catering the requirements of the industry. If you see here, operatives around 40,000 people have been trained, and merchandisers are trained, quality control people are trained. Maybe, particularly for these things, we will be able to develop, and we are looking for that. Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, nice.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Anybody else would like to take some question? I mean, I would like to maybe 1 or 2 questions I can answer. Or would you like to close?
Yeah, I think this was very enriching dialogue, sir. I saw we wrapped up, you wrapped up the content 5 minutes earlier, and still we are like from 20 minutes over. So a lot of great questions, and thanks for extending your time today. And any question, please feel free to email us. And I also shared the link for our next masterclass, which is on 9th of April on next gen public procurement with
13th of April.
13th
13th of April.
Sorry, thanks for correcting that.
Yeah.
On 13th of April with Prashant Gogia, sir. But Dr. Shivakaran, thanks a lot for taking out time and shedding some light. And we look forward to invite you in future for more enriching dialogue. And this has been very enlightening. And thanks again for taking out time.
In fact, Raghav, we may also invite Dr. Periyasamy because a certain part of his say center does touch interface with say healthcare.
Yeah,
would be
love to
right.
associate. Thank you.
So we can explore the further possibilities beyond medical textile. What else could be done in healthcare,
Yeah.
and not only at the local domestic level, even the global level.
Okay.
And especially we are so much say inspired by today's presentation, like local to global. So Dr. Shivakaran, I'm not going to spare you. Now you have say shown us a place. Now I want you to help us finding the milestone and all, the pathway. So probably in future master classes, we'll come back to you, and at least we'll do something with Dr. Periyasamy. I was not knowing, it's a pleasant discovery today.
Yes, yes. It's a surprise to me as well.
Yeah.
Friend here. We come from the same entrepreneurship community. Yes.
Please do connect me to, yeah.
Yes, yes. So thank you very much for
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
and big podium. It was a very enriching talk. And even when I was designing my presentation as well, each time when I design, I find something very interesting because I need to engage audience, so I get new data, new information. So this is also learning for me. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
That's so humble of
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone,
Dr.
for joining.
Periyasamy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so
Shivakaran.
much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. See you. Jai Hind.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.